All right. So here we go. So where does one start programming? That's a great question. What we're gonna do here, one more command, I think. No, screw it. All right. Let's download Godot 4.7. All right, so I'm getting that into my downloads folder. We're doing everything pretty much from scratch here. If you want to follow along, go ahead and do that. Download Godot 4.7. I'm going to open up a second window here. Godot. There we go. So I've got that. I just keep it in Godot editors because I have lots of different versions of editors here. And then also I just downloaded Godot 4.7. I want to unzip it. I'm gonna extract that here. And so once you download Godot 4.7, oh, did I just extract all the files right into this folder? No, it's right here. So here's my unzipped folder. I'm gonna drag it over here. My folder full of editors. Yours won't look like this. You'll just have just the one if it's your first time. Make sure that you download the second one with .NET because we're gonna be working in C#. There's no button to click to be a dev. You just gotta, you are a dev once you start all these actions. Yeah, I plan to put it on YouTube, Sir Bobbert. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that means I succeeded. Oh, thumbs up because you don't have headphones on. There's the thumbs up. And so here we go. You got a couple different executables here. You got the normal one and the console one. Console one just kind of has a whole bunch of debugging stuff. Double click on the normal one, stable mono win64.exe if you're working on Windows. We're going to open that up. And then in here, this is like your launcher screen. And I'm going to click create because we're going to make a new project. I'm calling mine Chopper Lift. And you know why? Because I want to kind of recreate this game called, what was it called again? It was on Commodore 64, Chop Lifter. It was a game I played as a kid. I used to always call it Chopper Lift. In my memory, that's what it was called, but now I see it's called Chop Lifter, which sounds like chop liver. No additional memory required. It's a really cool game about like flying a helicopter around and picking up, like rescuing people in a war zone. At least that's how I interpreted it as a kid. So there's like tanks shooting at you, jets flying by trying to shoot you down, and you have to like land at these places, pick up people, and then take them to the safe building with the American K-Kona flag there. So I'm going to call mine Chopper Lift because that's what I thought it was always called, and apparently that's available. There we go. I'm just calling it Chopper Lift in the project name. That's creating a new folder here. There's different renderer modes. I'm going to keep it on compatibility. Not really going to target mobile. Forward plus, I'm expecting to have really simple 2D graphics for this. So we don't need the forward plus rendering pipeline. I'm going to keep it on compatibility. And then it says edit now. I'm going to hit create. Now, if you don't have VS Code, you're going to want that as well. Let's give this a second to start up. And this is one of the reasons I always recommend Godot. When people say, what engine should I work in? I always say, Godot's great. Just go with it. And part of that is because we just downloaded Godot. And the whole folder unzipped is 255 megabytes. You saw how fast it started up. The download is like 60 megabytes. It's awesome. So here's the Godot editor, right? Yeah, compared to UE's 30 gig, exactly. Or, I mean, even Unity is pretty huge too. It's been a while since I used it, but yeah, Tonya, welcome in. Oh, I should say I was going to keep the welcomes to a minimum, but I thought that was welcome in too. So here's your editor, right? Two main things to consider. I want to check how I look over there. It's a little bit hard to see with like text. Maybe I'll keep it this size. That's probably good. Few main things to consider, right? You've got your 2D scene view, your 3D scene view. They kind of exist at the same time, right? On top of each other, if you will. A little bit hard to imagine, but we'll be 99% working in 2D for this game, if not 100%. And so the deal with Godot is everything is a node, right? A scene is a node is a scene in Godot, and you need a root node. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to start with a 2D scene. There's a few options here: 2D scene, 3D scene, user interface. I'm going to click on 2D scene here. And that just kind of makes our base scene, right? And some things you can see here, there's this light purple line. What is light purple? And that kind of shows the size of our screen. So if we were to hit play, okay, I'm going to save this now because you got to save that scene. And I'm just going to call it main.scene. So that saves our main scene right there. And once you saved it, you can hit play. It says no scene has ever been defined. Select one. Yeah, we're just going to select our current scene, this main scene we made. Select. And then this is our game. You saw the quick Godot splash screen. But this is all it is. It's just gray, right? We can, gives you a little placeholder icon right here. It's the Godot logo. We put this here. I'm gonna drag and drop it in there, right? It's gonna automatically create a child. So we've got up here, we've got a node 2D. This is our root. I'm gonna call it root or main. I'll probably call it main because that's the name of the scene. And then it creates a child that's an icon of this because I just dragged it in there. You can do that as many times as you want. It's gonna make more of them. I mean, right now, all it is, it's just a sprite 2D. That's a sprite in 2D space. You know, a sprite. It's like from your old favorite games, you called those sprites, right? So this is one of those, and it can be any picture, but this is the sample picture it gives us. And you know, wherever we put this within this light purple box, you can hit play, and then it's gonna render right there. See, we have it in the top right. There it is in the top right. So this is our game. It's technically a game we're playing right now. You can't do anything. Smash all the buttons, nothing's gonna happen. So that's there. That's good. And since I'm making chopper lift, I think I've been thinking about it all day. The first thing I want to do is make a controllable helicopter, right? And I also want controller support for this. And so basically we could start, a lot of tutorials start with this icon.svg, like as the main test thing. I'm going to add a child node, and it's going to be our 2D character, right? So I think what we need is a player. In searching this button, sorry, let's explain that better. Right click, add child node, or also hit Control A. This gives you a list of all possible nodes. Like I said before in Godot, everything's a node. A node is everything in Godot, right? So the very base building block in Godot is a node. If I collapse node, there's nothing, right? So everything at its very basic core is a node, right? So under this canvas item header here, and like I'll shrink the rest of them, we've got node 2D and control. These are like our 2D canvas options, right? So on node 2D, we have quite a few options. Collision object. What we're looking for is like, I forget exactly the name. It's been a minute. Character body 2D, this one. So you can also just start typing here. Character body 2D, and it'll find it. You also see there's one for 3D. But we're working in 2D space, right? So we want the character body 2D. And then that gives us a character body over here at 0, 0. So if I zoom into our 0, 0 point, you'll see like that's the origin of this thing, but there's nothing here to see. So what we're going to do to make this character body visible, I'm going to drop this logo on it, right? And that'll put it into our scene. But you'll see it's actually just a sibling of the character body. So what we want to do is grab this icon and put it on the character body, right? So now when I select the character body and I go over here to its properties, there's a transform position. If I move the character body, you see the logo goes with it, right? So the logo is going to represent like our visual, what our actual character is, right? And all it is just a child of the character body. Streams ago. Thank you, Doc. Welcome in. Here's our tutorial command to explain what's happening here. Tutorial. We're in tutorial mode, so I'm going to try and stay on topic. Bear with me. Feel free to ask questions or chat as normal, but I'll be prioritizing questions regarding game dev. So, any latecomers, new joiners, that's what's going on here. When starting a new game, how do you go about creating your first system or mechanic? Could you explain how you formulate and address the problem? Yeah, so pretty much with any problem, any game, I have the very basic thing in my head. I'm like, I want to do this. How do I do that? Like, don't worry about organizing it or making it perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good, right? Same with game dev. So with my other game, you know, I started out saying, I just want to make sure I can have Minecraft terrain in 2D space, right? So I was like, okay, how do I do that? No, Doc mode is mode. Doc, chat as you will, but I won't be bidding along with you today. Bitting. I'll keep on task, right? So, and then like I said, for this game, I just want right now a helicopter. It won't be a helicopter. It'll probably start out looking like this Godot face that I can control with the controller. Maybe for this first video, that's all we'll concentrate on. But it's like, don't worry about organizing it or what part of what system it's going to be. Just make it work first, Tonya, and then refactor it into a system. Like if you're thinking about, okay, I'm gonna need like some kind of base class that everything inherits from, and like the player is gonna want to inherit from the same base class as the NPCs, that's gonna inherit from the same base class as the enemies, and like don't worry about all that. Just make the player work first, and then once you have a player and an NPC, strip it down, see what they share, and then, you know, work from there, right, Tonya? So that's how I do it. Yeah, still joke around. You guys joke around, but I'm not gonna. But make it, you know, have some entertaining chat up there for the YouTubers. So here we go. You can see here our character body. Did that answer your question, Tonya? First of all, before I move on too far, did that answer your question? Is that, yeah, good, all right. So right here, we've got a little warning next to our character body. I'm going to rename this, by the way, to player right here. And it says node configuration warning. This node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Consider adding a collision shape 2D or collision polygon 2D as a child to define its shape. Okay, so we can do that. Right click again, add child node, and we're going to say collision shape 2D, right? So kind of like our icon, we have another child to this player node called collision shape 2D, but that has a warning too. It says a shape must be provided for collision shape 2D. Please create a shape resource for it. So for that, we come over here. There's a little shape property on the right side, this inspector. Anything you click over here on the left, it's going to show its properties on the right. I kind of breezed over that, but see, everything I click has different properties depending on what it is. So I click on collision shape 2D and we see the collision properties, right? So now we're working over here and we see a shape. Okay, let's click on that. You got a few options. We want rectangle shape 2D because we're working with a rectangle. It makes sense, right? There's other things, but really we're just going to worry about the rectangle for now. And so now that it has a rectangle, or square in this case, we can make it a rectangle. See, there's this collider under it, right? Let me go ahead and show something, right? So we just added this collider. It just popped up right there in the center. I'm going to center this again. So I'm going to hit this on my icon, right? I'm going to go ahead to the transform position and just reset it back to 0, 0. So we know it's right in the middle. Let's save that. And then let's give something a ground for it to interact with. Yes, you can, Dawn of the Dan. And that's what I'm about to get to. So like here, you know, a lot of drag and click and drag and drop, drag and drop and click and drag. You got these little nodes that you can size it up and be like, okay, that's about right. That's about the size of my my player right there. I'll make it nice. And then you can zoom in more to get like a really good, there we go. So now we've got a collision shape. This is a collider. When you hear games talk about colliders, this is it. This is a collider, right? So you've got an icon of a certain shape and a collision shape of that same size, right? And I've got this player. So my player right now is at 0, 0. I'm going to move them to the center of the screen by adjusting the position. You can go up the top here. There's different things you can click on. Rotate, scale. I'm only going to worry about the position right now with the move node, right? So when you click these different icons at the top, we got rotate, we've got scale, but we want position. And that changes our icon here, right? So we want to make sure the player's selected. So we're not moving the children. We want those to stay at 0, 0. But the player, now we can click and drag and move it around. And I kind of want it in the center of the screen. I'm going to save my scene and hit play up here and see what it does. 242, welcome. Got the tires and live right on. Welcome in. Thanks for the 10 stream streak. All right, so we played our game, right? And here we are, just sitting there right in the middle. Why don't we fall, you know? Good question. And that's because floor, moving platform. We're going to look at our player, the character body 2D properties, and up direction, motion mode, grounded. I think we need, maybe I'm thinking of Unity. I think it has a gravity setting in here. I think Godot has a gravity value in the engine, but you need to script the movement from the character script, right? Yeah, a lot of, you know, bean-shaped colliders. You see a lot of early on games, like Tonya's saying here. Actually, we should be able to do that. So like when you see like capsule collider in a game that has like very rough graphics, just like a demo, capsule collider demo maybe, and we search images, you'll see this very familiar shape, right? Basically looks like a bean, like Tonya's saying, right? And so you might be playing Half-Life or Counter-Strike and you see this fully rigged animated character, but your collider is really only this. It's just a 3D pill, little capsule shape. And so similar to that, that's what we have here, right? So right now we're working with a square, so I'm going to keep the collider a square for the time being. So I think what we want to do next is we want this thing to fall. We want gravity on it. And so I'm going to right click and right on the player, on the character body 2D. And I'm going to say attach script. And then when you do that, you have a couple options here. There's GD script. We're not going to be working in GD script. We're going to do C#. And then it's going to have a few things. It inherits character body 2D. I'll explain that in a minute. That's just because that's the node that we're putting it on is a character body 2D. So it'll have access to all things that a character body 2D has, right? And it's gonna go in resources : //player.cs. I called this player. It's automatically naming it player. That works for me. And I'm not even like organizing my assets and scripts or anything yet. We can do that later. Let's just make things work. It's more fun when things just work. So for me, I have VS Code already installed. You might not have that. And let's show, if you have it installed, here's what you got to do. You go into editor, I believe, editor settings up at the top. And let me think for a second. Editor, text editor. We want to set it up so like when you double click on .NET editor, there we go. So on the left here, if you scroll all the way down, there's a .NET portion. And then there's build and editor are your options, but we want to look at the editor. And click here and just choose, I've got a few here. I've got Visual Studio, Mono Develop. I don't think I have that. I wonder if it comes with Godot for C#. I have VS Code. I'm going to use that. So, and then you might have to give it the path to the executable. For some reason it's showing JetBrains here. Anyways, choose that if you're not launching VS Code. We'll close that. And then, you know, if you click on this little script here, it should open your editor back up. And so what we see here is just the very simplest class you can possibly have. This is C#. And up at the top here, it tells us what libraries we're using. So we're using the Godot library. And then the basic system library. We're not actually using it right now. That's why it's grayed out. So we can just highlight that and close it or delete it. We can put it back later if you want or if we need. And so what we're saying here is it's a public class and it's partial. This is a keyword that means that some of the code is in this file, some of the code is in another file, I believe. I don't use it too often, but you need it when inheriting from Godot because it's using partial, right? So when I say inheriting, our player is a character body 2D. That's what this colon means. Player inherits from character body 2D. So it's going to get a lot of stuff, properties, methods, what have you, from character body 2D. And so if I start typing here, if I type like public override void, underscore void, I don't know how to turn off the AI code completion here. Nope. Not that. How do I do that? Settings, that opened my GitHub. Can I right click it? Remove host, active projects, hide copilot status. Log out? I could log out. Thought there's an easier way to do it though. It's fine for now. So if I start typing public override void underscore ready, that means we're overriding the character body 2D ready method. And this is just a method that once the node is in a scene and the game is loaded and ready to go, this fires. So what we'll do here is we'll type like inside this gd.print player is ready, and we'll take the AI suggestion there. Sure, fine. But then what you want to do usually is call base.ready. Do that. And now if we hit play, you'll see that after the game loads, we compile, it runs. We'll see down here, it says player is ready. That means that we hit this line of code saying that our player instantiated and is ready, and that's just called automatically whenever you enter the game, right? Can't see the top. Is Copilot top right? Oh shoot, am I not showing everything? Can't see the top. I mean, this is, you should be able to see everything, it looks like. There's the bottom, there's the top. It's all here. I'll make this font bigger too, by the way. I should have done that. Go like that. There we go. There's like open in agents. I don't know what that is. Oh, there's toggle chat. Oh, here we go. Manage Copilot settings. It takes me to my GitHub again. Semantic indexing, man. Complete. Auto complete, no. Inline suggestions, I see the usage of it. Inline, no, I don't see anything else there. Copilot. I'm just gonna like delete the extension if that's what it takes. I don't know. It's probably just baked into VS Code at this point or something. Anyway, where are you supposed to see it? So that is right down at the bottom. We've got this logging in our output. So see at the bottom of Godot, there's all these different tabs down here. If you leave it on output, it'll print out whatever you have. So do you see this down here? Okay, I know it's small, but I'm not sure if I can make Godot much bigger very easily. You say player is ready right there. It also puts out some other stuff like what version you're running, NVIDIA drivers, my video card. Show in the game window. I think you'd have to do a little extra work to have it show in the actual game window. But it is, everything will output down here. Okay. So we've got the ready thing saying player is ready. Here's another important one. Public override void underscore. It wants to give me process. I want physics process. All right. So we're going to use that. Physics process is something that calls every frame. Actually, not really. So process, there's two of them. If we go public override void process, this is called every frame. Called each idle frame prior to rendering and after physics ticks have been processed. Delta is the time between frames and seconds, right? So physics process is different. It runs every physics tick, which isn't always once every frame. Called once on each physics tick and allows nodes to synchronize their logic with physics ticks. Delta is a logical time between physics ticks and seconds and is equal to engine.timescale divided by engine.physics ticks per second. Don't worry about all that. The thing is, if we're going to be adding forces to our object, we want to be using physics process. That's the rule of thumb there. This will happen at a different amount of... Damn you, Copilot. Get out of here. And so this will be running every frame, and then this will be running every physics tick. So what we want to do is use another apply gravity. I don't even think that's real. I really want to get rid of these. Where were we? Physics process. So I typed in AI. Oh, where I just was? Thank you. Settings, maybe? Disable AI. Dawn of the Dan, my man. All right, so that's how we did it. The gear down in the bottom left. And then settings. And then type in disable AI. There we go, and you can check that box. Cool. All right, so physics process, because what I really do want is the autocomplete from IntelliSense, from what actually is in the Godot library, right? So we want, here we're going to do physics process apply force velocity. There we go. I'm trying to remember. Get real velocity. Okay, sorry, trying to remember. I think what we actually want is the process. And we're gonna say velocity equals new vector2 dot down, right? Not new though, just vector2 dot down, just like that. And what that is equal to is it's a vector2, so that's a vector with 2 points to it, right? So we've got, say if we were doing a vector2 vector, we would say the x-axis and the y-axis. So in this case, we have, if we do a 0 and a -1, that's equal to saying vector2 dot down. Y is down in 2D, so this points to positive y. Oh, maybe, sorry. It's a positive one then. So saying vector2 dot down is the same as saying new vector 0, 1, right? And all that is saying our velocity is down. And then we're going to want to multiply it by some kind of speed, because 1 is not very much. And we can just go to the top of our class here, make some new lines and say private constant float. We'll say gravity equals, I don't know, 100 maybe. And so down here we can say velocity equals vector2 dot down times 100, or sorry, times gravity. Well, now we've got like this variable up here, right? So when it gets to this method called automatically, don't worry about calling it, it'll come to this method, it'll do this base process delta. I'll explain that in a second too. I just realized I haven't explained these base dot. And then it'll set our velocity. It gets exactly organic code here. It gets this property velocity from the character body that it inherits. I talked before about player inheriting from character body. That means it can get things that are set up in the character body 2D class because of this colon, right? And one of those things here is velocity. And so we're just going to set it to a new value. So here's velocity. We're saying vector2 dot down. Remember that's 0, 1 times 100. So it'll be 0, 100, right? So now if we go and run our game, we're just setting our velocity to 100 down. We're traveling down at a speed of 100. I'm gonna hit play here. Nothing, huh? Really? Okay, let's go back to that. I'm sure if we had AI autocomplete on, we would have nailed it on the first try. essentially main, yeah, kind of like that. See, that's a good way to think about it. Think of it as main within a loop, because like kind of what's happening at a very simple and low level. If you're like coming from C programming, right? You've got your main, and I'm gonna botch this. You got your main loop, and then you'll have like while true, and then you'll have like game logic here, right? And so you might say something like for each player foo in players or something, you'll call player dot underscore process for each one, right? And so basically in the game engine level, we're running into some code like this. So while true, for each player we have, we want to apply this process. Whereas like maybe up here, we're doing something like use foo more. I'll try and use it every chance I get for you, Dan Jr. I mean, we might have something up here like underscore ready, right? So like it starts the main loop, hits up each player foo. Sorry, this should say foo and this should say foo. For each player foo and players, we're gonna do foo dot ready, and then while it's true, each tick of the game down to the Dan Jr. Each tick of the game we're gonna call process, right? This is super simplified, but basically that's what's happening. So here we're setting the velocity every process. Has a note here. A common mistake is setting this property to the desired velocity multiplied by delta, which produces a motion vector in pixels. Move and slide. I forgot about this. So we're setting the velocity, but we're not telling it to go anywhere. Move and slide and move and collide. So here are two new methods that come from character body 2D. Move and slide. We didn't declare that anywhere here, but we're going to be calling it. It's declared in the character body 2D. So if we mouse over this, it moves the body based on velocity. That's what we're missing. If the body collides with another, it will slide along the other body. Dang riz. Rather than stop immediately. If the other body, is a character body 2D or 3D, rigid body 2D, sorry, it will also be affected by the motion of the other body. So there's also move and collide. Let's read what that one does to see which one we want. It takes the vector to motion. I think we want move and slide. So we're not going to worry about that other one yet. We're calling move and slide, and now we go back to our project and hit play. Check it out. We're syncing away at a speed of 100. Cool, huh? So if we were to double this gravity and go back here and hit play. Why did the character go through the floor? Good question, Cedar. So let's look at that again, right? Is it going faster? It should be going twice as fast. Yeah. So it is, but it has nothing to collide with. There's nothing to say, don't move through the floor. There is no floor. It's infinite space, right? So here's the bottom of our screen, this light purple line. And if we zoom out, we can go out forever. And we could probably do this until we have some kind of nanny inf overflow, right? So we're going back. I'm going up now. Don't worry. There we are. And zooming back in. So this will just sink down into the game forever. As long as you let it run, it's going to go and just move down, right? So what we want now is some kind of floor here. Yes, Jump King devs stress test. Yeah, like you could, if you forget to put a floor collider, it could go on forever and ever. And then hopefully you got your memory managed right. I don't know. So we're gonna add another thing like this. I'm gonna do that by adding a child node to the main. Right click on the main, your main node here, and say rigid body 2D. I believe is what we want. Physics body that is moved and it doesn't have to move. I think there's something better. Let's go 2D. I think it's static. Is it called static body? Yes, sorry. Type in static body 2D. A 2D physics body that can't be moved by external forces like the ground. When moved manually, it doesn't affect other bodies in its path. Tasty, welcome in. How are you? We're making a game. Download Godot if you want to follow along. Double click on static body 2D. I'm going to rename this now ground, right? It's a static body 2D, but I'm calling it ground here. And you can see we have the same warning. It doesn't have a collision shape. Okay, we're going to add that. Add child node. Collision shape 2D. So similar to our player, it also needs a shape. I'm going to give it a rectangle shape as well. I'm going to click back on the actual ground object and kind of move it down to the center here. And then I'm going to click back on the collision shape and I'm going to stretch it to the corners of our screen. Oh wait, we got to go back to the editor, scene paint mode, Q for physical select mode. There we go. I'm going to grab that, stretch it out to the edge of the screen, and that one too. I'm going to save it. I'm actually going to up that gravity too. We're going to make it like 400 so we're not watching it for so long. Now if we hit play, boom, it goes down and it stops. It stops right where we wanted it to. Yeah, down to the Dan, what's up? Now we can't see that because we didn't give it any image, but it has a collision shape, and that's all you need to stop your other collision shape, right? So it runs into it and says, I've hit something, I'm going to stop applying that velocity that you've set here. Select your player, but it won't move if other stuff is on top of it. Yeah, so here's your player. And with the ground we created, right? So other stuff is on top of it. So let's see. It might have something to do with these, like move mode. Like if you have select mode on and you click like that, you're going to grab the collision shape, right? So I'm going to Control Z and put it back. Or same with the icon. If the icon's on top, depending on the order of the children here, whatever's on top, yeah, that's it exactly. Nice. Okay, yeah, so basically, say to move your player, you could adjust the transform property down on the right here and just edit the actual position, or click on the player and then click on move mode, and then it will not select anything else, just move the player. Cool. I'm gonna reset that position. Oh, I'll just, there we go. Here's our ground. I'm gonna edit these endpoints so it's still centered on its parent. How's the position? Oh, I see. The position gets changed when I stretch it. I was kind of just hoping to... It depends on where the middle is. That makes sense. Alright, so anyway, we have this ground. But that's not very fun. Because it just falls and hits the ground, right? So I think what we want to do next is make it movable. That would actually be fun. And this is like kind of where the first like aha moment of game dev is like when you're actually controlling something. So let's do that next. We're ready for it. I think if we go into project settings, click on project at the top, go down to settings. Oh, I should have one of those things in the bottom corner that shows all my keystrokes. That would have been nice. Anyway, I think what we want is input map, right? Show built-in actions. There we go. Yes. So there's like a lot of tutorials will have you using like UI. We can probably do that. Like with most things, you can change it later, but the point is it's already set up, right? So like UI left, UI right, it's already set up. So if you go to settings and then the second tab, input map, then click on show built-in actions. This is what tripped you up with Godot. Had to mess with the project settings to map the inputs. Yeah, and you don't need to do this. I'm just trying to keep it very Godot native, right? So in my game, I'm just gathering the input keystrokes. The nice part about this is it's already mapped for like joypad and keys, right? But what we want to do, so like if we search, can we filter by name, filter by event? If we want to use WASD, I guess is what I'm saying, we want to go to UI left here. And we're going to say, you see it already has left arrow key, joypad buttons and axes set up. We add an event here. We can say keyboard key. What is it? Oh, A. Okay, so I type A and it filters everything, but you got to scroll down. Select A. Hit OK, right? So now our UI left has A next to it. Now UI right, we're going to do the same thing. You want D, which is kind of a pain because you can like close some of these categories that don't apply, but D. Okay, so now we've got UI left is A, UI right is D. Up, we're going to use W. Right there. And down is S to set up WASD, which should be there automatically. Coding the fray. The fray, what do you mean? How to save a life? So anyway, we've got WASD in there for UI left, right, up and down. I'm going to close that. That's all you have to do there. And the nice part about that is you can refer to those strings. Then you can just pass in UI left instead of making exactly. Yep. So in my game, I process every event kind of manually. There's a lot of like overhead to do that, but then you can also control everything very nicely. I think for a simple game, for this tutorial, we won't need that. So you might say like if input.getKey get.key is key pressed, right? You'd say key code key dot, we'll say W. Then we can say gd.print W is pressed, right? So you'd be doing stuff like this. Input.isKey pressed, then we're saying W is pressed. But that's only for the input key. It doesn't even count for your controller, right? So if we go back and play this now, I should have put an else in there. But now if I like hit W, you see W is pressed. It fired 3 times. And I can just hold it down and it'll put a W is pressed for every frame, right? We're not going to use exactly this way. Is action pressed? I think it is, right? Returns true if you are pressing the action event. I believe this is what we want. So we're going to change that to is action pressed UI underscore say left. And then we're going to copy that block and put it here again and say UI underscore right. These are the strings for those actions that we were editing. So UI left, we can say left is pressed, and UI right, we can say right is pressed, right? And then when you hit play now, we'll see down in the little bottom, the console log, say left, left, left is pressed, right, yep. And so that's working. We got W, or anyway, we got A and D set up for left and right. I'm kind of thinking, what do we want to do for controller, but maybe we shouldn't. It's like, say you tilt it a little bit. Do you want like the full controller tilt enabled? Or do you want it to be like very digital on or off, right? There's another, is action pressed. I think we want to get like, what was it? The actual like tilt. Maybe we won't do that now. Sorry, just thinking, you know. Here's what we're gonna do to keep it simple. We're gonna say var velocity with a lowercase v equals new vector 2 0, 0, like that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our velocity based on what we're pressing, what keys we're pressing, right? So we have velocity, our new one is 0, 0. And then what we're gonna do is action pressed UI left. Then instead of printing this out, we're gonna say velocity plus equals velocity, or sorry, vector 2 dot left. So just like we had before with vector 2 dot down, we're saying plus equals, that's code shorthand for velocity equals velocity plus something else, right? We're saying plus equals here is a little bit of a shortcut. And so kind of like our hard-coded down, our vector 2 dot down, which is just short for 0, 1. Here we're doing -1, 0. So -1 for x, meaning to the left, and then 0, meaning we don't affect. Plus equals 2. Thank you, Tonya. Good one. Plus equals 0. Sorry. -1 for left, and then 0 for up and down, right? We're not affecting the up and down axis. Rockabilly, welcome. Check it out. We're in tutorial mode because we're doing game dev from scratch. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here. Download Godot if you want to follow along. So we're kind of going to do that for all the directions now. So we've got velocity plus equals left, and then we're going to copy this line and do the same thing here. Plus equals right. And then we'll do 2 more of these. I'm kind of doing this very simple so as to not confuse with like complex if statements, but basically we're just stacking up values onto this initial velocity. So right now it's 0, 0 on this line. Then if we get here, it'll be -1, 0. Then if we get here, say we're pressing left and right at the same time, they're going to cancel out because it's going to add another 1 to our x component. And then we've got up. And then we've got down. So I'm just making these all match. If UI up is pressed, we're going to do vector 2 up. If UI is down is pressed, we're going to do vector 2 down. And then finally, we want to say velocity plus equals. Now, note the lowercase and the capital. Capital velocity is the one that matters for move and slide because that's part of character body 2D. This is it's a little confusing, but it's an important part of programming. Whereas lowercase velocity we declared here with var We're saying new variable velocity is this, but it's lowercase. Usually use lowercase when it's confined to like a private scope. Use capitals when other classes can access these, right? So this is velocity because it with a capital because it goes across classes. This is a lowercase velocity because it's just in this method. You can't use that velocity anywhere else here. If we were to type velocity here, it would say, well, you can use the uppercase one, but if we make it lowercase, it'll say, I don't know what you're talking about, because it doesn't exist outside of these curly braces, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to move this gravity here, because after getting all the inputs, the last thing we want to do is add gravity to it. So depending on all the buttons we pressed, how does gravity affect it? Well, it makes you go down at a speed of 400. And then finally, we say our capital velocity is equal to whatever lowercase velocity we just built. Bro, just casually moving gravity. Exactly. Well, we moved gravity, and we can also change it too, right? If this was negative, everything would go up. We're keeping it positive, so everything goes down. And I'm going to copy this line. Actually, Control Shift. Nope. All right. Control Alt down. Nope. What am I thinking? Control D. Control Shift D. Nope. Man. Anyways, copy this line, paste it, and we're going to call it another variable speed. We've got gravity and we've got speed. We want our speed to be higher than our gravity so we can actually move up. We're going to make our speed, let's try 600, right? So we're going to move up a little slower because we're fighting gravity, but then we'll be able to zoom left and right at a speed of 600. Then when we go down, we're probably going to fall pretty fast, so because it'll be added to gravity, but that's okay. So we got that. We're going to hit play. And we're going to test these out. Boom, there it is. Something's not wrong, not working. Sorry, hold on. Plus equals down, left, right. Left and right, they were working. Left, right, up, down. Especially from, sorry, what was that from scratch? I always see the, not gonna lie, I do love listening to a programmer go off on explaining the reasoning for the function of their code. It's like magic. Thank you, Dan Jr. Especially from scratch, right? Yeah, basically, Dan Jr. So, like, Godot provides you with the libraries and the editor, right? And you can do as much or as little as you want in the editor, or you could also just use the library and code it all up. In this game, I'm trying to stick more to editor stuff. So we're going to have a lot in our scene over here on the left. A lot of scripts attached to objects. In my game, I tend to do more the other approach, whereas I use the library as much as possible, and I kind of do very little in the editor. I want a lot of things done by code. But for the beginner tutorial here, we're from scratch, we're just going to try and keep it editor friendly, right? Okay. Where was I? Also, if you're on YouTube and you're enjoying what you're seeing, come and join us at twitch.tv/olgodev. You should be able to find me pretty easily, I think. I'll put the link in the description below. Like and subscribe. So what was going on here? Velocity. Oh, stupid. Does anyone see the bug? Does anyone see the bug? You do, Cedar? My man, I knew you would. We need to, these are just directions. We're just, you know, out of a value of 400 or 600, we're adding 1 to it. Of course, we don't see the difference, right? We need to multiply the velocity times equal. Here we're doing plus equals because we're compounding it cumulatively. Here we're going to multiply it. So whatever it is, we want to multiply it by the speed. That's why we can't see anything. So yeah, we'll nothing at all working. We'll look at that in a second, down it in. So now we have the velocity times the speed, and then we're going to add the gravity vector, what do we call it? Magnitude and direction. And then we set gravity, then we move and slide. Is that what you saw, Cedar? Show you my code. There we go. Check it out. I'm moving. Check it out. So I'm hitting WASD. If I let go of W, we fall. If I press S, we fall fast. And it's a good start. I like it. But I think we're going to want to move our guy around with physics. This is one approach, but I don't know if I love it. Because we're doing a helicopter game, right? It should be fun to fly around. And I think for that we want physics. So this will get you started on platformers. Basically, we've got the beginnings of a platformer here, right? I'm gonna boot up my controller here. There we go. So here's me working the controller, and it's working. We got that. For some reason, moving diagonal is quicker than moving up. Yeah, we'll get there too, Cedar. Mr. John Godot. I'm not Mr. John Godot, but I can take that. I can field that question. Common problem in game dev. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, so Dawn of the Dan. Let's step through. Is your script attached to your player right here? It sounds like none of the things that we coded in association with the player are working for you. So step 1, you see a little script button next to your player here. And then if you click on that script button, does it open this code? And is your file saved? Those are the basics. If that's not working, I would double check everything here. Is it public partial class player inherits from character body 2D? That's important. You'd probably get an error in Godot if it wasn't though, so it's probably not that. I would also check, is it public override void process? We can move on. Did you figure it out? Nice. Because if it's not public override void process, then it won't automatically be called in this loop we talked about here. It won't be able to find it. Emily, welcome in. You had to save the code. Nice. All right. Easy win. Control S to save. Go back to your editor. Hit play. I'm actually going to turn off this view thing because I don't like that it pops over. Override the in-game camera. Manipulate. Emily, we're learning Godot. Go ahead and download it. We're in tutorial mode right now. But if you want to follow along, play along at home, feel free. This will also be a VOD and uploaded to YouTube. If you missed the first part and you want to follow. View. So this is new for 4.7. They changed auto resample. They changed where the pop-out game things are. View grid. Shoot. it used to be in here, and I don't see it now. Manipulate from editors. It says camera, override it, nope. Audio, nope. Don't select lock nodes. I want this embedded. Oh, here we go. Embed on next gameplay. Make game workspace floating. I'm gonna uncheck this. There we go. Close that. Now if I hit play, we should just be playing within the editor here. There we go. All right, I like that a little better. Especially for stream because I'm trying to center it for you. So there we go. We've got a guy moving. Dawn of the Den, are you using a controller? Is your controller working too? We can talk a quick thing about save, make method accessible, actually assign script on top 3 things we love forgetting. Yeah. So Cedar brought up a good point. It's maybe hard to see, but if you go left or right, it's only so fast. But if you go up left and right, it's hard to tell, but it is going a little faster. And let's explain why. Very common game dev problem. So with our vector 2 here, we're creating arrows basically. Think of them, up is much slower than diagonal, so up is fighting gravity too though. So it's probably really hard to, so like right here. So we've got, we've got up here, and then we're adding like the up speed versus the down gravity. But you bring up a good point. When we are saying vectors, say we had a grid here, right? And here's 0, 0 down here. Oop. And up here is 0, 1. We're in the north east quadrant here, and here's 1, 0. If we push right, we're going to make an arrow that goes straight to the right, and it's going to have a length of 1, right? If we push up, we're going to make an arrow that goes directly up from our origin, and it's also going to have a length of 1. But what if we push up and to the right? What happens? This is a length of 1, and this is a length of 1. Hypotenuse speed, exactly, +2, Dawn of the Dan. We're actually traveling at the distance of hypotenuse. Instead of just straight 1, right? I wish I was high on hypotenuse. Final boss of game, yes, high school math, exactly. But it's things you don't really think about, and you might, if gravity was the same as speed, or you would notice it more, or if we didn't have gravity at all. Like if we comment out gravity, I just commented out, it'd be much more noticeable. Sheila, perfect. Like I said, there's still going to be some bits, some references. But yeah, you can kind of see it here. It's like, here's up and down, but then up and down at the same time. Left and right, but up and right at the same time. It's definitely faster, you can see. It's probably like 20% faster. Or is it 12? Anyway. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Do you have to math that speed out? No, there's an easy way to do it. So you could math it out if you wanted to do the square root, but square root's kind of expensive, and I'm not sure if how exactly it's handled here, but all we have to do is say velocity. Let's do this. Velocity equals velocity dot normalized times speed. Oops, that's a method right there. And so returns the vector scaled to unit length equivalent to v divided by v dot length. I'm not sure if it still does a square root behind the scenes. I imagine it would. I don't know how you can get around it. But we're changing this line here. Velocity equals velocity normalized times speed. And what that does is it sets your vector length to 1, no matter what it is. Right? So here, say we have a, let's get yellow now, right? So here is a vector length of 1. Here's a vector length of 1. If we were to cut it here at the hypotenuse, it would truncate it somewhere along this circle. Actually, we have a circle tool. Why don't we use it? It'd be something like, oh, that was bad. All right. It'd be, I might have to just say you get the idea here, but it'd be, you know, something like, damn it. Okay. I'm gonna try and keep it very PG around here too during the tutorial mode. Not that. Layer, new layer. Like that, and then there, here, right? So here's our, the yellow is our distance. When you call this dot normalized, it will truncate your vector to have a magnitude of 1, right? So what we're doing here is we're saying whatever we had there, if it, basically if it's up and right at the same time, or in 2 different directions at the same time that don't cancel each other out, is going to normalize it to a length of 1. And then we multiply that by speed. Then we add gravity. And now you'll notice, actually, let's take out gravity again, and we'll just restart our game. And then now when we scoot around, you'll see that it seems much more uniform, right? You can see we're actually doing stuff. This could be like a top-down game. You could be setting up your own like Zelda. You can go under the world and get stuck under there. Try to find your way back. Maybe you want to do Mario. This is the very beginnings of most any 2D game, right? Could be top-down, or you add gravity back and it's a platformer. Whatever you want to do. So there's that. How do I play the game in Godot, not a window? Yes. That is right. Took me a second to find it. I think you have to... I'm already forgetting. Play the game. These 3 dots in the top right, or if you just go to this 3rd tab along the top, game mode. You have 2D, 3D, script, and game mode. These 3 dots, uncheck make game workspace floating on next play. And then that'll put it right in here. Literally just made Gungeon without the art. Exactly. It's that easy, folks. So what should we do next? I kind of want to go turn this into physics mode to get closer to our helicopter. I also kind of want to show people Gungeon if it was good, don't ya? I also think people would benefit from collision and like picking up items. But maybe since I'm just trying to stay on task, I'm going to take that lesson we just learned and bring it a step further. And we're going to move all this into physics process. But this is going to require a few changes. This is a player controlled by a character body 2D. I went down this path. Honestly, I forgot. I was looking for those apply forces, apply impulse. The methods, they're not here. They're not in this class. So what I want to do is go back to our player, right click, and I'm going to change its type. We're not going to use that character body 2D. That's set up for like a traditional platformer character, top-down RPG, Zelda, Link to the Past type character, right? I'm going to change it to a rigid body 2D. And that's what we looked at before. Physics body that is moved by a physics simulation. I'm going to change that and save it. So you see the icon change. It's a little beach ball. It used to be a player looking character guy. Now it's a beach ball. That means that it broke our code too, though, because our code depends on it being character body 2D. We need to change this inherits from to rigid body 2D right there. So now it's more of a physics object than an actual controllable. Yeah, so I explained in the beginning, Tonya, that my idea for this tutorial was to recreate this game I used to play on Commodore 64 called Choplifter. I used to think it was called Chopper Lift. That's what I always called it. And now looking back, I've been wrong my whole life. It was even on Game Boy, Choplifter 2. So I'm calling my game Chopper Lift. And it's not taken. Yo, welcome in, Wumbo. First time chatter, appreciate you. We're in tutorial mode right now, so I'm hopefully going to just one-shot this, upload it to YouTube, and then do kind of like a series of these every once in a while. Maybe every Wednesday evening. This is what we do. I don't know. Make it a weekly thing. My daughter asked if you're gonna use the Molaner. Exactly. I love it. A better Star Fox, if you will. Exactly, Cedar. Imagine Star Fox, but good, right? So, you see when we changed our rigid body 2D here, it broke a couple things. Velocity, no longer here. Move and slide, also error, no longer here. Fandangolo, I messed with it a little bit, welcome in, but I did not get everything ironed out. Good question though. If we weren't in tutorial mode, I'd switch right to it. Right to it. So what we're doing here, we kind of want most of this code. However, we don't want these last couple of lines here. I'm going to take it out. Just delete them. I'm going to delete this method down here, physics process, because we're going to put it here. We're going to call this physics process right there. So basically we changed our process into physics process because is that because those are, yes, exactly, down at the end. Those all belong to character body 2D. They don't apply here. Within a rigid body 2D, we move things around a little bit different. So it has an icon as a beach ball because that's like a good way to put it. It's something you can bop around. It's controlled by the physics engine. So basically what we do here, we've got all our same code with things. We're still building up that velocity. Yeah, Wumbo, ask away, please. So basically what we want here is apply impulse. I believe there's a few here. If you type apply, you'll get, what is it, 8 different suggestions with IntelliSense. Apply central force, apply central impulse, apply force. Some of these are meant to be done every frame, some are not. Let's just start reading them. Apply force. Applies a position force to a body. Force is time dependent and meant to be applied every physics update. That's the one we want. First try. Let's read some of the other ones. Wumbo. I grew up in a house with stairs, so I skip every step. Blew my kid's mind the other day. Central impulse. Applies a directional impulse without affecting rotation. We probably want that too. Time independent. Applying an impulse every frame would result in frame rate dependent force. For this reason, it should only be used when simulating one-time impacts. Alright, so impulse is just like a one-time hit, like say kicking a soccer ball. Apply central force is meant to be used every frame, right? So central force, it just acts on the very center of the object. That's the one we want. You can do apply force as well, but it wants to know like where exactly did you hit it? Did you hit the edge of it? Is it going to go spinning out of control? Apply force just applies it to the middle. The other one could be fun, maybe for some kind of crash animation, or if it's hit by a missile, you want to apply the force. You know, let's think of it this way. We got our helicopter, right? Boom, skis, right? The body. When we use, we should actually import this. Anyway, when we use and now I'm getting carried away because this is fun actually. This is kind of nice looking helicopter there. When we use apply force, it'll go right to the middle and say, there, I'm putting a force here. Sorry, apply central force. When we say apply central force, it goes right to the middle and say pushes it forward. We can use the other type of force, say if it's hit by a missile and wants to go spinning out of control. We could apply it from here and just see what happens. Let the physics take over, right? It all gets calculated in the physics engine. What happens there? We kind of lose control. Save that there for now. Anyway, we do apply force, apply central force. And we're going to put in our velocity. Let's just see how that works. Time dependent, meant to be applied every physics update. Yep. So that should work. Let's hit play. Uh-oh. Something is wrong. Gravity speed. Is gravity too strong in this case? Because it might take some force to... Hey, I thought I commented gravity out. Oh. Rigid bodies already have gravity, so we don't need to apply a force. There we go. Alright, so look at our properties now. Sorry, go back to the player now that it's a rigid body. Mass distribution, deactivation, solver linear, constant forces, gravity scale 1. So if you go to project settings, general tab, you go to type in gravity and go down to physics 2D, you'll see the default gravity is 980 pixels per second squared. It seemed kind of good, so I'll keep that. Gravity scale, you can change that if you want, but I'm going to keep those all default. So even with our gravity disabled, we're still moving down. We no longer need to apply gravity here. Now I'm wondering, is our speed off? Is 600 not good enough? Do we need 6,000? Just a quick test. Just build, play. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, we lost our guy entirely. So 6,000 is a lot. Maybe 1,200. Maybe 1,200 is the build. Good suggestion, Dawn of the Dan. Let's try this again. There we go. It's a little slow now, but it feels much more like flying a helicopter. I tell you what. Oh, and we can roll around too, which is cool. We could do a thing where it's like if it tips upside down, it explodes. That'd be fun. It's actually already kind of fun. Feels like flying a drone. Way more fun. Yeah, rigid body physics, cinema. Already way more fun than the very digital motion we had before. So that's something, right? It'll be like kind of part physics game. I want to add lots of guns and stuff. You want it where it reverse controls if we're upside down? Maybe, yeah. I mean, if we're upside down, I think it would explode. But yeah, still up is up right now, but we can do that too. Because right now it's just applying a force in like global orientation. So what we could do is do some vector math on... Oops, I just opened Godot launcher again. Close that. Could do some vector math on here to like make it relative to the rotation of the actual character. I don't think we're gonna mess with that yet. What I think I'd rather do is lock the rotation. Collision layer input, pickable. Lock rotation. So if you have this little filter at the top here, click on player, filter properties, type rotation, you can click lock rotation there. Save that, restart it. So now we'll never tip over like that. Because I think I'd rather handle that a little differently. But, you know, we're going up. And also a helicopter shouldn't necessarily just sink straight to the ground. I think it should probably float down pretty slowly if nothing is pressed. So we'll mess with that. You would want it where get rid of line 5 too. Let's see, 5. So gravity, yes. Yeah, we can get rid of that. Because we're not setting it anymore. We're using the in-engine physics gravity. Very cool. It's feeling good already. Let's get it a little more helicopter-y, right? How do I want to do that? I think... Let's see. Up and down... Maybe we just don't want it to be affected by gravity. If we put gravity scale down to 0... Oops, I just flew away. Let me try that now. Gravity scale is 0. Let's see how it feels, right? It's pretty good. Just by putting gravity scale to 0, I like it. And then we could do things like... Maybe if it's in good health, it's at gravity scale 0, and then maybe you take a few hits, then you're at gravity scale like 0.5 or something, and then like it's harder because, you know, you're a few hits from death, so you gotta kind of battle gravity in addition to... I think that'd be fun. Bullet hell, it could be... Yeah, actually, Doc, you're not wrong. I think it will be bullet hell adjacent. So what I'm thinking is chopper lift with guns. I was thinking almost like kind of incremental, but I want to do some kind of like Norp apolog type aesthetic, where it's mostly very simple white on black graphics, but then like the explosions are very bright and primary colors. Lasers, explosions, rockets. I think that could be fun. So chopper lift meets bullet hell. And I almost feel like I could see, yeah, shoot 'em up incremental. I don't know if like straight incremental, because I don't really want to make an incremental game necessarily, but I'm thinking like some kind of tree of unlocks. Like, so the better you do in a mission, maybe the better you do in a mission, the more money you get, so you can like buy better gear for the next mission. And so there's maybe like an unlock tree. Heli delivers cargo to bases. and have to upgrade to make it to new bases. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Cedar. So like maybe the first level, you get nothing, but the opposition's pretty light. Broly, welcome in. And then the second level, maybe you were able to buy enough to get the minigun. And then, or maybe just a little pea shooter gun or something. And then there's a little more opposition, and then you can keep saving up, and you can't beat a level. Maybe you need, like, to beat the third level, you need, like, flares. Yo, Dan, welcome in. Get to coding and tap. You start sleep posting. Enough with the yapping. I'm actually losing my voice. I've been yapping so much. But we are in tutorial mode because this is just I've been talking about doing Godot tutorials for a while, so this is just a new game. Right now we've got the idea of flying a helicopter around screen, right? So we set up this rigid body. I'm using my Xbox controller right now, and it's actually kind of fun just to like float this guy around the screen. It's pretty cool, and it's very simple to do. But basically I'm recreating Choplifter, but maybe with some bullet hell incremental Black Hawk Down simulator. Exactly. I'm gonna have to rewatch the movie. I'm kind of thinking like rapping here. What do you think about that? Like, this is maybe a good first video. Got some good introduction. I'll only watch good movies. I never saw it either. Didn't miss the hypotenuse bit. We still have the schematic up though. I think, like, what would I do next? Do we want helicopter graphics and animation? Or do we want to simulate, like, scrolling through the level? I wish I was high on hypotenuse. That was the bit. Graphics. I could see that, because little Godot guy icons everywhere. Not so fun. Parallax. There will definitely be parallax in this game. And I was just thinking of making this a weekly thing, like every Wednesday night we iterate on this game, upload it to YouTube. And so if you're new at Godot, you can watch this VOD. It's gonna be low pixel for sure. I was thinking the aesthetic, I was just saying, will be like Norp Apolog. Low res, white on black, but high color. I think that'll be cool. There's a helicopter. Let's see if we can get a little helicopter that we like, right? And I'm thinking it's gonna have to have some turning animations. Maybe we just need like a new sprite sheet. Sorting adjacent. That's true, it is actually. Had fun with Norp? Yeah, Norp was a good game. Let's do some, like, just a little bit of welcome in, by the way, Mark Fancher. How do you personally transition from white box to implementing models and such? Do you prefer to make it feel more complete earlier on by implementing models, or prefer to get basic interfaces and systems stood up just before? I tend to like seeing a more finished product early on. So maybe for the rest of the stream, I'll do some little helicopter graphics. Like, how small can we make a helicopter and still make it cute, but also ferocious, right? So I tend to like, you know, as you've seen with my game is very basic, but the art's pretty advanced compared to the amount of actual mechanics in the game, right? Not a whole lot of mechanics, but I like to do a lot of art as I go. And I think just seeing that kind of finished product is very inspiring to me. Oops. Whereas, like, when you see an animation, you get kind of like motivated by it, like, oh, this looks really good, I want to keep going. Whereas if you just see a bunch of like floating Godot heads, it's hard to get excited about it. Like, it's cool, it feels cool, But you don't get the full effect. So I kind of do both in parallel dock. If that means I have to undo art or redo art, then, you know, so be it. How do you know when you have to leave the main node? So if you want to load scenes, we'll get more into that, Dawn of the Dan. Like right now we've just got one scene. We don't even really have a camera. Like, so if you don't put a camera in, Godot just renders, you know, at least for a 2D scene, we'll just render whatever's in the box. And we'll get to this because we're going to need to traverse through our level. We're going to need a camera 2D in here, right? And so a camera 2D, you see we get a different box. So now if I were to hit play, we'll be looking through this purple box now that I added camera 2D instead of this purple box. And you notice it's up and to the left. Well, look, here's my guy now. He's down here. The ground is gone. We don't see it anymore. But we can move this camera around. Say we had it here. The ground's right in the middle of our camera now. So now we stop right there. We can go under it and see what's under it. You know, it stops there now. So we're gonna have to get trickier with that. Right now we're just kind of like getting our player moving. But eventually we're gonna need a camera that follows the player and then scrolls through the scene. Because we're gonna be setting up levels, there'll be buildings, there'll be enemies, and then we'll have the camera scrolling along following the player. What point of the SDLC? What's SDLC? Should you start testing your product? I don't know. What's SDLC? So I like this so far. How are we feeling about this helicopter? Oops. That's pretty good. How's the rotor gonna look? We're gonna want to animate that, I think. We're gonna need some sounds too as we go. Probably something like that. We'll have upgrades. We could do like speed upgrades and whatnot. It'll be cool. 8 on that side. 9. I knew it was too long over here. There we go. Actually, longer rotors? Nah. So 8 on that side. 9 on that side. Okay, make them even. That's a pretty good start. It's a little bulbous. I want it to be sleek. Oh, software development life cycle. I figure we could do like regular releases to itch with this so people can try it. It won't be playable in browser, so that's the thing about C#. C# and Godot is not supported in browser yet. So, it's a little annoying, but I think they're working on it. Let me get a little more sleek. Sprint doesn't exist here. I wish. That'd be nice. We don't want it to look like a Tommy the Helicopter kiddie show either, though, you know? Let's see, helicopter pixel art. Like the original Choplifter, it doesn't... I don't love it. Yeah, EQ remix. Pretty dope. What do we like here? I think this is Lo-Fi Loot Goblin. Loot Goblin Lo-Fi? Yeah. Loot Goblin Lo-Fi. I mean, the more I see these, the more I like mine, so maybe that's something. Maybe it could be more sleek, though. these are kind of good over here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. How do we feel about that? Maybe we'll... like so. If you want to go ahead and make your helicopter, do that. I'm going to move the whole thing up because it doesn't look like it's... Ooh. Actually kind of like no landing gear. Looks kind of cool with no landing gear, but how would it land, you know? 9-bit versions? Oh, that's cool, Cedar. 9-bit. How do they get 9 bits in there? This might be like a good first draft. This one's a little sleeker. All about just 1 pixel, you know? Makes all the difference. That's cool. I like that. That's a good start. Homework for next session. Draw your helicopter down in the den. Draw your helicopter and see if you can figure out how to get it in there. I'll give you a little hint right now. So I'm going to do, file new. Let's go like 16 by 16. I might have to change that later. Want it transparent. Too small. File new. Let's go 250. We're just gonna make a sprite sheet right now. I didn't think it would copy the black background if that was the... Let's cut that out. There we go. Put it here. Wand tool, delete. There we go. I'm gonna file, save as. We're gonna go to our project. Oh, did we even save our project yet? Yeah, we did. It's in D, Godot, projects, chopper lift. I'm gonna call it sprite sheet.asprite. There we go, and then file, export as sprite sheet.png. Okay. Well, now I should have in here sprite sheet.png. And we're changing our... Sorry, I feel like I'm kind of leaving the tutorial behind here. Showed you my copter in Discord? Let's go. Let's pull that up. Jamie, pull that up. Where are we at? Game dev? Oh, I should start a new channel for this, huh? Did you really though, or we just... Is that a bit?
Let's go on a crusade.
What do we got here? Stephen Goat, welcome. Welcome in. Oh, he didn't show. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Welcome in, Stephen Goat. We're doing, and we're kind of done now. We were doing a Godot tutorial from scratch. So we're out of tutorial mode off.